CEATEC Japan is the largest international exhibition in Asia, featuring imaging, information, and communications. It stands for the Combined Exhibition. Let me say, I don't want to trust my memory for this, so you know what? I'm just going to ask the guest. Hold on. It's the Combined Exhibition for of Advanced Technologies. Nothing like messing it up. The Combined Exhibition of Advanced Technologies, CEATEC, C-E-A-T-E-C. Dan O'Brien is Public Relations Manager, and welcome back to the program, Dan. How are you?
Okay, good. Well, welcome back to Japan. It's good to see you again.
Well, thank you. Glad to have you. Where are you from originally?
Born in New Jersey and raised in California.
Born in New Jersey, raised in California, and how long you've been here in Japan?
22 years in Japan.
No kidding. So what brought you here originally? Because the show's not that old.
I studied Japanese in university, Japanese and French, and I decided that Japanese was a little bit more interesting, so I came here and started as a translator at IBM, actually.
Wow.
And
cool.
Went from translation to public relations over the years, and here I am.
Wow. So appropriate to say not only to our listeners, but to you, konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa.
That would be the most appropriate greeting, I guess. And Ohio. We're learning all these things.
It is the morning, so Ohio is good morning.
That's true. So, well, we're glad that you ended up here in Japan, and certainly have been very involved with this show, CEATEC, which is in its, what year?
Let's see, we started in 2000, so this is the 8th show.
Wow, very cool. And
yes.
the growth has been phenomenal. And here's a show that truly has taken on an international flair.
Yes, it certainly has, yes. We started out with a lot of electronics only. Now we have software, we have network technologies, we have this year we have an awful lot of new contents exhibitors. It's becoming more international. It's spanning more of the IT industry. Yeah, it's been very good.
And of course, while it still is very heavy in electronics, and that's fine, because this part of the world, let's face it, there's a whole lot of that going on. A little section in Tokyo, Akihabara, is that
Akihabara,
right?
yes.
Akihabara. Yeah. We'll be visiting again, I'm sure, on our touring day at the end of the week here. But that's a fascinating part of this country to visit, when you can see every imaginable electronic component, and sometimes little old ladies sitting in small booths that know their stuff, and they're selling diodes and transistors and LEDs. And, I mean, truly the ability to just go in and create your own science experiment if you want.
Yes, basically it's true.
Yeah, and there's a lot of that here still at the show, where industrial folks are getting very involved in all that's available, as well they should, I guess. So there's so much happening.
There's the components and the devices makers, the number of companies, they're actually about 66% of the total exhibitors.
Wow.
So there's a lot of companies out there. They don't take up as much space because they have smaller booths. They're not the big, huge
and the small components.
Yeah, small components, yes. But there is a trend this year with the components makers. They've improved their act a little bit by not just showing the diodes, but by actually making their own prototypes. This is how you could use this semiconductor. This is how you might see it in a product in 1 or 2 or 3 years.
Excellent.
So it's a lot better for visitors because they can come in and they can see the concept, what it's meant to be.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more of that going on this year. So I think our parts exhibitors are getting a little bit smarter. They're getting better at exhibiting.
Yeah, and it's a whole lot more marketing now too, which is terrific, because it truly does allow them to generate some new business that perhaps they would not have otherwise realized.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it.
And of course, this year, CEATEC 2007 is the biggest yet, with nearly 3,200 booths, made up of several exhibitors, of course, some having exhibits in multiple halls, and occupying all of the available halls here at the Makuhari Messe facility, which is also another very cool kudo. Is that a Japanese word, kudo?
No, I don't think so.
It sounds like it should be. But a great opportunity to know that a show like this is growing, and truly a great chance for folks to showcase their wares and their abilities here in this part of the world.
Yeah, if you imagine the show space, if any of your listeners have been to the Tokyo Motor Show, that motor show uses up the entire space every single year since they started. And you need that much space because you have cars on display. That same amount of space is being used by CEATEC this year. So it's pretty impressive. And we have the consumer electronics companies are opening up bigger booths than they did in previous years. They're showing more of their products than they have in previous years. I think they're starting to take CEATEC very seriously, and you'll continue to see it grow.
And what do you think so far are some of the big news here at CEATEC? Of course, we'll spend the next 3 hours interviewing many of your exhibitors and talking about a lot of the big news here, but what's jumped out at you so far at the show?
Well, the displays have always been a big part of the show, and the big trend this year is how thin they're getting. Sharp introduced a 2-centimeter thick display, about an inch thick, in Europe, and I think you saw that one at, at IFA.
Yeah.
And they also have that on display here. Some other companies, Sony has introduced their OLED, as I think that's how it's pronounced.
Yes, the organic light-emitting diode TV, and it's extremely, what, 1/8 of an inch thick.
Yes.
Truly getting some wows and ahs here at this show.
Yeah, and they've also announced that they're going to commercialize it. I'm not sure if it's global, but at least in Japan, those OLED displays will be available in the stores on December 1st.
That's true, and it's going to be a while yet before we'll see them back in the U.S., but still, as normal, you guys get a lot of stuff here in Japan first, especially as it relates to wireless.
Yes.
Cellular phones, mobile products, and so forth. Very typically, you get the jump on them here, and then you can tease us about eventually we'll see them in the States.
Yeah. Well, that's actually another reason why I came to Japan. Actually, I'm a gadget guy.
So there you wanted to make sure and get ahead of everybody else, especially coming from California.
Right.
I mean, that's gadget laden there too. And you talk about California. Japan, roughly the size of California, yet 130 million people living here.
Yep.
That's got to be a challenge in and of itself, too.
Yes, it is. Yeah. It makes you understand why it's the second largest economy. I mean, we're looking over our shoulders at China because they're coming up fast, but Japan is still a place where things are happening. The level of technical innovation is incredible. As you can see at the show here, the Japanese companies are really getting into developing new things, and the consumer electronics companies are really working hard to make those into consumer products.
Dan O'Brien, Public Relations Manager with CEATEC. Visit CEATEC.com for more. Come by our site. We'll link you there. Thanks for kicking off this year's broadcast, and we'll make way for as many of your exhibitors as we can chat with in the next 3 hours.
Okay, thank you very much.
Our pleasure. We're back with more from near Tokyo and CEATEC Japan. I'm Dave Graveline. This is Into Tomorrow on the Advanced Media Network.